do it every year. It's like, oh, this team got beat here, so they didn't deserve X, Y, Z.
We deserve to be ranked higher, and we want some respect.
I would love to antagonize people and egg some people on and see what kind of chaos we can have in the stands.
FCS Fans Nation, welcome to our preseason preview episode for 2025, Season 9 of the FCS Fans Nation podcast. I cannot believe we're almost to double digits, and we are going to be taking this episode to preview Craig Haley, Sam Herder's, Zach McKinnell's, everybody's predictions, bring them all together and answer the fans' questions about this upcoming season. We are so excited to have you. You got the OG crew, Jamie Williams, Go Harvard, Go Kyler Neal, and Matthew Frazee. Just a quick shout out before we kick things off. Again, subscribe to FCS Gold if you want to be involved in this year's playoff bracket challenge, a chance to win possibly even more than a $50 gift card, depending on how many people we get. Appreciate the 4 people who hopped in last week. It's only $1 a month. And Matthew B., I know this sounds like this was me creating a second profile and giving $3 to my own podcast, but a gentleman named Matthew B. wrote on YouTube that we deserved more and just gave $3 a month. That was pretty cool. And if you guys are wondering why we do FCS Gold, it's literally to put money into contests so we can just give bigger prizes back to you guys. And it makes the pot a little smaller, easier to win. If you want to be a normal sponsor, it is the standard fee of $2,000. So, all right, beyond that, Kyler Neal, aren't we actually sponsoring a good friend, which we were taking $0 from him because he's incredible?
No, he's actually paying me like $5,000 on the back end. I'm not sharing. But of course, yeah, there's been an awesome guy who created his own little company, I believe, with his son, which is pretty awesome. I don't know do you have the logo that we're going to be able to put up there so people can find it on Amazon?
I will get it up, my man, and the link is in the YouTube description below.
Love it. Because what we're going to do right now, guys, is we are going to crush dehydration like it owes you money with Renegade Hydrate, loaded with electrolytes, vitamins, and exactly 0 sugar. It's your secret weapon for peak performance, fast recovery, and all-day-long energy. Whether you're lifting weights, lifting spreadsheets, Renegade Hydrate keeps you sharp, strong, and hydrated enough to make fun of Matt with his awful takes from ChatGPT last week. So clean, powerful Renegade, now on Amazon. Please go ahead and grab yours today. One of the things, and I'll be honest, without even the ad read, it mixes really well. It actually tastes really good. So I know sometimes if you're ordering this type of stuff, I'm trying to get a little healthier. I'm trying to go to the gym. And this is actually, it's very helpful. I take it before, take it after if I'm feeling a little dehydrated because it's always hot and humid and I'm sweating my butt off down here in Texas. So it mixes well. It tastes good. Go find it today. And again, help out one of our, FCS fans, our FCS brothers in action. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Again, yeah, just supporting Dallas because he's a great guy and he's starting a company and a business. So we were like, heck yeah, we'll throw it up there. We won't take a dime from him because we like him too much. Jamie, we love you. Any welcoming thoughts before we kick this preseason preview? I want to give you the floor. I'm excited. Are you feeling a little relaxed from our episode last week? You didn't have to do as much prep for 100+ teams.
Yeah, it's much easier today than it was last week, and the interceding 4 to 6 weeks as I did all my research and putting that darn thing together. And one person freaking finally caught me on the YouTube. If you went through each of the tabs, I had both East Tennessee State and Jackson State showing number 15 in my slides. One knucklehead freaking went through and found it. So congratulations to that dude. That's pretty solid to find that. I realized it Monday after I had gone through it, that I had something a little off. But hey, who cares? Going to make a mistake because why? I'm an amateur. But yeah, really appreciate the feedback, positive and negative, mostly positive. So a lot of people are wrong and thinking I'm on point here. So hopefully I will be, but you never know with all the stuff that goes on through an off season in college football. You could always have another Lehigh go from 123 to 18 at the end of the year. You just never know. Somebody's going to do that this year. Maybe, Presbyterian might be awesome. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not going to bet on that. But that being said, if you're going to be that nitpicky, just make sure you are watching this on YouTube, because on YouTube in our background tonight, I screenshotted over 130 FCS logos from a random graphic, and some of them aren't in the FCS anymore, or maybe aren't even FCS. So you want to be nitpicky? Click on YouTube, give us a view, and see if you can find these logos throughout the transitions. That could be a fun way to kick off a weekend if you're cooler than I am. But that being said, there are many people cooler than us, and they wrote a lot of great questions this week. So let's get to their top 6 topics.
What are FCS fans talking and posting about nonstop? It's time for the top 6 topics of the week.
There might not be a better human to kick off our first fan question of the season. An FCS Gold member. In fact, every single question, which you are guaranteed to get one on the episode if you're an FCS Gold member, came from them this week. So sometimes we don't get everybody, but we did. And Andrew Markham, God bless you, sir. Thank you for your service. Incredible human, great coach, great everything. He starts us off with, who are each of you high on and expecting a big season from? So just right off the bat, it doesn't matter where this team is from. Maybe they are ranked 50th for Jamie, in my opinion. Maybe they're number 2, and you're just like, I think they're just going to win it all. Who are you expecting big things from? Jamie, you gave some insight into this, and I think I know where you're going. Why don't you kick us off with who you have high hopes on?
Yeah, well, just so you know, number 50 for me was Eastern Washington. So congratulations, Kyler. Matt is supporting you, which means if you anything about his firm intakes, sorry, Eagles. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to stick with the Montana Dakotas on this question just because that's boring. Obviously, if you listened last week, you know one of my answers is East Tennessee State. Really high on that team. Really like Will Healy at coach. They've recruited from the portal a couple of really solid quarterbacks. So we'll see which one winds up playing the majority of the time or if they use both. But I think East Tennessee State's really poised to make a jump. Looking like a potential quarterfinal team. And, outside of a certain few teams, a quarterfinal run is a pretty solid year. So that's one of the teams I'm really high on. Since we're talking about Andrew, I do think Incarnate Word is going to be really good this year. They have a lot coming back. I know Richie Munoz transferred, but they still have Torres. My guess is Munoz transferred because Torres would beat him out in the spring. You'll see that a lot of times through the spring where somebody transfers. You're thinking about Sacramento State. Caden Bennett transferred. People freaked out. Well, he probably got beat out by Jaden Rashada, and Brendan Marion told him that. So, coach has got to be up front because of all this scholarship stuff that's going on. So I still expect a really big year from Incarnate Word. They're trying to improve that defense. They got a solid, strong offense, and I think they're going to be one of the teams to beat. But yeah, I think Incarnate Word does have a chance to be that team that infiltrates the semis. East Tennessee State, a team that can run to the quarters.
Why East Tennessee State specifically? Is it coach? Is it player? Like,
yep.
I mean, this is the Jamie Williams pound the table team of the year. You tend to always have one.
Yeah,
is it the combo?
Yeah, it is a combo. I think people really got nervous when Trey Lamb left after 1 year for Tulsa, but they turned around and hired Will Healy, who I've said publicly I think Will Healy's a better coach than Trey Lamb. No disrespect to Trey, but it's just how highly I think of Will Healy, and I know he didn't do well at Charlotte when he went from Austin Peay to Charlotte to the FBS, but I don't know that anybody could do a good job at Charlotte.
No.
So that is what it is, and Will Healy's back in the FCS, and looks like he's had a nice portal haul. He's got some talent already there, so I'm really high on East Tennessee State. I definitely think I'm higher on them than both Zach and Sam. I've got their polls. I'm scrolling through. Yeah, I don't even know that Sam had them in his. I know when we talked, he had them just outside. And Zach, I think, had them in a little closer to where I did, I think. Or maybe I'm wrong. No, he had them at 22. So me having them at actually 15, might wind up being dead wrong, but I expect East Tennessee State to have a really good year. I do have them behind Mercer in the SoCon, but I can definitely see a path for East Tennessee State to win the SoCon and get a first round bye potentially.
Heck yeah. All right. SoCon faith right there. What do you think, Mr. Go Harvard Go? What do you got, Kyler Neal? Who is this team? Who are you high on?
It's got to be Harvard. No, I'm not going to talk about the Ivies yet. It's definitely not Incarnate Word because they're going to get their first loss in just a few weeks, and it's going to just be hilarious.
Wow.
In San Antonio, Eastern doesn't lose when I come visit. So they did last year. So let's just delete what I said, because I definitely did on the only game I went to see them last year. So this one's such a cop-out answer, but it makes too much sense. And I know people are getting the comparison of a Campbell to this team, and it's just not the case. Sacramento State, that go-go offense is going to just be insane to watch this year. The talent level that Sac State has, I get it, and that's why people are comparing them to Campbell when, you saw those big recruiting classes, and of course Campbell just never put it together. This is a different type of recruiting class. It's not just, high schoolers that are coming in. It is legit transfers who have starting time at big schools. This is going to be a nightmare of a team. Now, am I going to say they're going to go and, compete with NDSU? I'm not going to go all the way and say that yet, but I would be very shocked if they finished, below maybe just one Big Sky team. I think this is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'd say lock them in for the quarters, and it's a big bounce back after the disastrous year they had, this year. Now, the funny thing about this is none of these players will be on the roster next year because none of them will be paid. And again, we're going to see an ESPN 30/30 on, the school that cried wolf and promised all these NIL money, and none of it actually happened. So none of them are getting paid. They're all pulling a UNLV, and then they're leaving halfway through the season after they're undefeated. But no, I actually think Sac State is going to be really fun to watch. And again, this type of recruiting class, this roster is typically not what we've seen at the FCS level. Maybe just Jackson State is comparable, but the difference is this isn't a first-year coach, right, who's just grabbing tons of talent. This is a good roster. This is a good team in a good conference, and I would be shocked if they didn't light the world on fire.
Yeah, I like that pick, Kyler. It's interesting how many people are on the opposite end of that on Sac State. They just don't think they're going to be very good. And I think it's just because they're mad about how they handled their business from the president on down. And it was kind of comical, but Brendan Marion looks pretty sharp in that damn cowboy hat all the time. So he's got that going for him too, along with
it's just insane the type of people they put together. And again, we're all rooting against them. I think it's safe to say the three of us are probably hoping I'm wrong, and we're kind of rooting against them because of how they handled everything, because they called us, JV and all that jazz. But again, I think they're going to be extremely, extremely talented. And this is not that 3-9 team we saw last year. That's for sure.
No way. You stole one of my two answers, Kyler, but I totally agree with you. It's at
Take
least
Campbell then.
He's going to take Furman.
Furman? I already got there's already been a SoCon team taken. No, I'm going to go in a different direction. I actually did. I felt, feeling bad last season. I don't know if I was as researched, but I did a little looking up here for some of these questions. So I'm ready to be back up on the horse this time around. I don't know if there's going to be enough room for this to go around, honestly, because of Kyler's pick from Sacramento State. I'm going to go with Northern Arizona. I've got him highlighted there at number 19, and I'm going to use the great Sam Herder's reasonings. Listen to this. NAU returns 2024 Big Sky Newcomer of the Year quarterback, 2 top running backs, number 2 pass catcher, and 3 starting offensive linemen, while adding transfers in as well. Defensively, they allowed 18.8 points per game last season. That was 15th in the FCS, and 6 of their top 11 tacklers are back. 8 of their top 15 leaders in snaps. When you look at just an outlook, you talk about a team that had growth, you talk about a team that actually performed with a good record, and then they get to return a lot of these things. I know they lost some to the portal, but they gained some in the portal as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And I don't know if there's enough places to eat in the Big Sky, though, for Northern Arizona to actually go to maybe where I think they could be. Because you get a Montana, you get a Montana State. You just added Sacramento State in there. Obviously, Eastern Washington is going to be a semifinal team. It's just, where's Northern Arizona going to fit it in? So that's going to be my pick. I would have high hopes for a team. If they're not going to do it now, when are they going to do it? So Northern Arizona.
Can I explain why I hate this?
Yeah,
because everyone is giving NAU love.
Okay.
Look at who they played last year. They got blown out by every single team that had a winning record. It wasn't competitive. Not one game was. They had a very easy schedule. They literally got beat by every single team that had a winning record. They got beat by also a Pioneer League team in the playoffs. Is that what happened too? No, they got beat by Abilene Christian. They got blown out in that game. Yeah. So again, here's why I just hate that take. Just because I have seen historically NAU, they have these decent seasons when they don't play anyone, right? And then they get embarrassed. And then everyone's like, they're going to improve. NAU has all the tools in the world to be a top-tier team in the FCS. Great facilities, an amazing college town. I love Flagstaff. I think that's one of my favorite college towns. Not a lot of true competition in terms of resources and schools around the area, and they are in a recruiting hotbed without a lot of competition. Arizona's hot. Utah's actually hot. You can still go up to the Pacific Northwest and recruit out of, Washington. That's actually a decent little state for talent. And you got California right there and Nevada right there. There's talent, but at the end of the day, NAU typically doesn't ever beat anyone. They just don't. And then they get all this respect, and I'm just so tired of it. I finally want NAU to earn something before I talk positive about that bum-ass team, because I just can't do it anymore.
I love the Kyler vent already on episode 2. And you know what, Kyler? I'm going to give you this. They are going to host Incarnate Word on September 20th. So, okay, right there. That's a show me game, and that's at home.
No, because Incarnate Word will already have a loss August 30th, brother.
Dude,
that's what we're not looking at. Incarnate Word won't even be ranked by the time they play NAU.
But here's the thing. They're, Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word to beat
They're
NAU.
going to host Montana State on October 4th. They are going to host, Idaho's kind of fallen off a little bit, but they don't hit the Grizz this year. But those are 2 games, right? Your point's going to be made in 2 games based off that schedule. You're not wrong. The rest of the schedule doesn't look like it's anything mind-blowing. But what are going to happen in those 2 games is going to dictate a lot.
Like last year.
We're going to see.
Yeah, I'm high on them, though. I do think they've got a chance to prove it, though. If Southern Utah or Northern Arizona both want to be playoff teams, that game on September 13th is a big one. They also, Northern Arizona also goes to UC Davis, but the rest of everybody else, they get at home, unless they, or they go to the bad teams. So they get a couple of good teams at home. Got a pretty home-heavy schedule, to be honest. They play
and
at
it
Weber
is tougher
State.
to play at 8,000 feet. I get it. So, that does benefit them that they get a lot of their tougher games at home. But again, because of what they did last year, they weren't a playoff team. They got in the playoffs. They didn't deserve it. And again, when you don't beat a team that has a winning record, you don't belong in the playoffs. That's just a reality unless you win your auto bid, which they didn't win. So, I don't like it. I want them to be on the outside. I think they're a decent team for sure. I think they're in the top 35, but I think they got to earn it before you just prop them in there. They haven't earned anything ever.
Well, we got the upcoming season to see who's going to earn what. And I guess we're going to see what happens with NAU. And if history tells us anything, the people Matt likes in the beginning, they just perform so well. So well.
Fair.
Speaking of performing well, we are going to see who's going to be the best of the best between our 3 new top quarterbacks, because Liam Maroney, FCS Gold, asks us who will find their groove behind a new quarterback first, NDSU, SDSU, or Montana State. Boy, isn't this the question of the offseason? Here we go. We have had at all 3 of these schools, you have had the set staple, sometime question, sometimes great, ending career awesome for all of them. Mark Gronowski, Cam Miller, Tommy Millott, they've been tied at the hip through COVID, and now they're all gone. They're NFL players, or they're getting paid $1 million a year in Iowa. And here we now have 3 new quarterbacks coming in. You have the mysterious left-handed Tim Tebow, tight end. What is he? Cole Payton. You have Chase Mason, who SDSU fans almost pound the table like this guy's the Trey Lance. He's better than Mark Gronowski. He's just sitting there, He's Carson Wentz behind Brock Jensen. Here come the Bison comes. And then Montana State is really the ultimate mystery, because unless I'm incorrect at this moment, I don't think we have a starter named. And when you go through those individuals, you're looking at a Stanford transfer in Justin Lamson, he'll be a junior. You got Chance Wilson. You got River Warren, who is listed as the backup last year. So there are some options in Montana State and who's going to get that job. There's the information. With that, Kyler Neal, who do you think finds their groove behind a new quarterback first?
Well, this may be a hot take, and I'm glad you kind of said those 3 quarterbacks that left, right? Because I actually do think those are probably the 3 most talented quarterbacks that those programs have ever seen. Now, I know people
Oh,
are going
wow.
to think that's a hot take with, NDSU specifically, not the other two. I don't think that's a hot take at all with the other two. I thought Cam Miller just continued to improve. He continued to evolve as a quarterback and as a leader. And by his senior season, I thought he was better than Trey Lance's season as a pure quarterback, not as an athlete, I guess, but as a pure quarterback. I thought he was the best quarterback that NDSU has ever had on their roster. And I truly believe that. And again, he lit it up preseason week 1, which is pretty cool to see against some NFL dudes. So now we're looking at it. And again, I just wanted to give some props because it's pretty cool that you see these dominant programs led by these insane quarterback, talented individuals. Well, Montana State has a record-breaking quarterback coming in. So here's the deal. I think he's actually the worst quarterback out of the three. I actually don't think he's a very talented quarterback, and I think that Stanford quarterback will be the starter. I don't think he's actually very good. When you look at everything that he's done, put together his game tape, and people are at Montana State are thinking he's the second coming of Jesus. It's just not going to be the case. But that even being said, Montana State's offensive line has some dogs on them, and they are all returning a lot of people who have significant playing time because they rotated everyone by quarter 2 last year because they just blew out everyone. I think Cole Payton is a stud, but if I had to go which team's going to get in their rhythm first under that, I'm going to go with the one who I believe the O-line a little bit more, and right now I think that's Montana State. I like the O-line they've brought back. Now, do they have the weapons of a North Dakota State, of a South Dakota State on the outside that's actually going to keep him in the game? Probably not, but they also return the two-man punch in the backfield that Montana State is going to be pretty nasty running the ball. So I think Montana State's going to come out heavy. They're going to come out in front, and I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to the Montana State offense and QB, even though I think he's the worst out of the three.
I am intrigued in terms of Montana State with all this turnover, but you're not wrong about the offensive line. The offensive line is bringing back some beasts, and Adam Jones, right? Running back.
Yeah.
That guy's a monster, and he was a freshman last year. So really what your point brings up, Kyler, is supporting cast. I think
not the individual quarterback.
Yeah.
I would take the other two over this guy any day of the week and even 15 times on a Saturday. But he's going to be extremely protected, especially in the Big Sky this year. The SDSU game is going to be fun to see because it's early on, and that's going to be the real, ticker to see who's right, who's wrong. But if he can get by that game, I think he's going to coast for a while.
I just was supporting cast. I'm going to take, I hope Jamie Williams picks Chase Mason. I'm just going to answer the question specifically. Who will find their groove behind a new QB first? It's NDSU because of their schedule. Their first 3 games are not great. Kevin, the Citadel, is, I guess, maybe it'll be closer than we expect. But then they're at East Tennessee State, and then they're going to play SEMO. And, they'll get South Dakota in the Dome, and that's the first big one. Besides that, they don't play anybody tough. And you got South Dakota State, Montana State. They're going to face off right away. You got Sacramento State. You got FBS games. Those are big matchups. So finding your groove in those style of matchups is not going to be easy. So I think Cole Payton's going to find that. Now, will he be the best quarterback? I don't know. But it was like Trey Lance going to the 49ers. And Trey, good job, dude. You're doing great with the Chargers right now. But when Trey Lance went to the Chargers, everybody said this: boy, dude, if he can't make this work here, this guy is a bust. You want to talk about weapons. Offensive line has some turnover, 3-starter turnover at NDSU, but you arguably have the best wide receiver core in the FCS at NDSU. It's not just Bryce Lance. You got Raja Nelson. You got great tight ends. I mean, there are freaks. And they've got good running backs coming back, even with Marty Brown not being there. So he's going to have a huge supporting cast. I see sort of a 2012 Brock Jensen ceiling for him, 23, 24 touchdowns, but a beast on the ground. I think he finds his groove first. I don't know if he's the best quarterback out of the 3. Jamie, what do you got? Give us some Chase Mason love no matter what. Otherwise, I'll do it on the back end.
You're going to have to do it on the back end.
All right.
I'm going to go with Montana State. I need to see a little bit more from Chase Mason. And he hasn't had a chance to show it, and maybe he can and will. We know he's a running threat. We've seen that on multiple occasions. I think he had 160-some yards in one game last year. I know he completed about 65% of his passes, so if he could do that, then maybe it's going to be him. But I just need to see it from him. I need to see that arm in competition against real teams. I do like right there, Lamson, I think, is going to be the guy. that finds the groove first for all the reasons that Kyler said. The supporting cast,
Record breaking.
It's record breaking at Stanford alongside John Elway and Andrew Luck. So just gotta trust in that guy. But really, who I trust in is Brett Vegan. Every quarterback that guy touches turns to gold. I don't like Lamson's throwing numbers. They're not good.
No,
but there's still a big difference between playing Pac-12 ACC ball and playing in the Big Sky and the Valley. It just is. It's good football. Obviously, the FCS he's going to be strong competition. There's NFL players going to be littered, but he's going to get a chance to show what he can do. And I trust Brett Vegan more than I trust anybody else, and I trust that offensive line. So that's why I'm going to go with Lamson. Matt, you can tout Chase Mason on the backside here. I want to see more from him, just like I want to see more from Cole Payton. But I'll talk about Cole later. I think it's another question we can talk about now.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know about the wide receiver weapons and the running back weapons that he's going to have. I think probably South Dakota State has the worst ones out of these casts, and the South Dakota State fans can rip me up, at least at a preseason preview aspect. Like, these are brand new ones that are coming in. These are new names. We've had names you could just name right off the bat with South Dakota State easily in the last 3 years. You just can't do that going into the season in comparison to what the other two squads have. But their offensive line, SDSU, and who they brought in, they got that big sucker. Where was he from? I don't know. They brought in 2 transfers, plus they've got great left tackle. SDSU in the trenches is going to be huge and nasty, and that will benefit Chase Mason more than anything. That guy had 464 rushing yards last year. He ran the ball just as effectively as Cole Payton did when he was coming in. He only threw 2 touchdown passes because he literally did a Cole Payton roll. So what will be the split? I think people are more sold, though, on Chase Mason's arm than they are Cole Payton's. And maybe that's because of one bad interception at a marker choke game 3 years ago, and we haven't seen Cole really throw the ball. I think people are more, including myself, high on how Chase could be as a passer than Cole Payton could be as a passer. So running in legs is going to be interesting, and unless I have it wrong, it's going to be interesting to see Montana State with a quarterback that is not Tommy Malott magic with his legs and kind of has to stand back there and make the throws, unless this guy's a lot more mobile than I've seen in my research. But he seems like a pure passer from my understanding.
Not like a runner.
So that being said, we're talking about guys coming from the FBS going to the FCS, but that means that there could be some upsets as the FCS takes on the FBS. And that's where Derek asks us this next question. What are the best chances we have the FCS over FBS upsets this season? And are there any you see happening that could impact the playoff picture down the road? Okay, Jamie, you got your betting hat on. Who have you targeted for some FBS upsets?
Just this is not a betting hat. I didn't bet. Nobody at Southern Utah bets on these games. PSA there. Now that I've got my goofy joke out of the way, there's a couple. I'm not sure any of them really are going to impact the playoff picture. It'll help. It's kind of a extra check mark, but I just don't think it's going to really move the needle on the playoffs. I mean, for goodness sake, St. Francis beat Kent State last year. It didn't help them. I've got a couple I'm looking at. Southern Illinois at Purdue. You think, oh, Big Ten team. That's not well. Purdue's going to really be really, really bad. And I'm a little higher on Southern Illinois this year than a lot of other people. But there are some that are even higher on them than I am because they see all the injuries they had last year and that people are coming back from. And then I also like Sacramento State at Nevada. I think we already talked about what Sacramento State has done in their offseason and to reload and set themselves up for at least a good year this year. Again, Nevada stinks. There's going to be people that want to tell you Jackson State against Southern Miss, and I'm going to say I don't even see that coming close. I know if you just look, Southern Miss was 1-11 last year, and Jackson State looks loaded up. Well, Southern Miss also has 40% of Marshall's team from last year, which won the Sun Belt. So Southern Miss will be improved. They're not going to be great, but they'll be good enough to beat Jackson State. And then I'm interested to see Rhode Island against Western Michigan. If Rhode Island is what we think they could be or what people think they could be, they should have a chance to go up there and take that scalp, and that's really going to be the only chance they have in their entire freaking schedule to make any statements, so they better make it. So those are the few I'm looking at.
I like those. Come on, Stephen F. Austin. I know Kyler loves Houston. Houston was bad last year. They were 4-8. They were dog crap. They got shut out in certain games. Maybe Houston's just going to rebound, I guess, in football, but that ain't their basketball team out there. And Stephen F. Austin, come on. This is your season. You're getting some preseason love. So why not? Why not have I hope the Rev is DMing us in the third quarter like, I cannot believe we're only down 3 and maybe there's a shot. So I wanted to go really off the wall. I'm going to say Stephen F. Austin, chance at Houston. And that is the type of game to this question where if they were to get that, that's the kind of one that no one's expecting, where that does put them in a good playoff position in a conference that's viewed a little weaker, even if you're not conference champion. Kyler, who else should we be betting on?
I would not bet on SFA. Houston does stink, though. I will say that. I got my little flag too, brother. So I got kind of like 3 games that I want to look at, and 3 of them, there are 3 games for 3 different reasons. So the first one I want to bring was just Idaho versus Washington State. Washington State has had a history of losing to FCS teams. They have regressed. They are now a Mountain West team. I mean, in all of reality, they're not a Power 4 team anymore. They're not a Power 2 team. They lost resources. They continue to suck. Their recruiting's not that well. And again, it's 8 miles. I could be wrong on the mileage, but they are extremely close. And that's a game that Idaho is just going to be pumped up to play, right? All the people who are at Idaho, they view WSU as, not their big brother, not a rival, because they are so close, but it's a game like you want to win. So you have the bragging rights and the Palouse. So they're going to be more fired up than probably WSU is to play Idaho. And, we saw Idaho get very competitive with a couple teams last year. Now I get they lost their coach. I totally understand. And that coach is the one who fires up people for big games. So maybe there is going to be a drop off, but I am very excited to see that game. The other 2 I want to bring up, one of them is New Hampshire at Ball State. Okay. Is this going to be – Ball State has never been a great team. The MAC sucks. I mean, it is what it is because they are in the MAC. I don't even know. I believe they are in the MAC, Ball State.
They are.
But if New Hampshire wants to get back to where they used to be, right, a contender, honestly, a quarterfinal team, you could almost book them in as a guaranteed. That was almost a safer bet than NDSU winning a title was, hey, New Hampshire was going to be a quarterfinal team. You could have bet a house for 16 years in a row and made some money, right? So can they go in? Can they beat Ball State? And if they can beat Ball State, I think that kind of starts to bring back is New Hampshire back? Can they start to dominate the CEA? Can they be the old New Hampshire since some of the other powers left? That's what I'm kind of excited to see. I'm rooting for New Hampshire in this one. The other one was that I wanted to bring up, and now it's slipping my mind. Oh, Monmouth versus Charlotte. And the main thing is because Jason's right. Can anyone make Charlotte good? Probably not.
Nobody.
I was at that campus
Nobody.
just 3 weeks ago, and I drove through it. And yeah, it sucks. You don't even know. Like there's a tiny little exit sign that goes, hey, you're at Charlotte. And I didn't even realize Charlotte was in Charlotte. I didn't realize it. That's how bad of a school they are. And Monmouth has some talented weapons. Now, I think Monmouth stinks. I don't think they should be a top 25 team like everyone else is putting them because, again, Eastern made them look like a D3 team. But Charlotte is a D3 team at the end of the day. So can those weapons be put in place? Can they start off hot? And I think even if they don't win, I think that's going to be a very competitive, fun game to watch.
Heck yeah. You don't get this kind of breakdown on every pod. That was by both of you. That was, dare I say, close to Zach McKinnell like. That was close.
No, don't ever disrespect that.
We're not in that level.
That was
level. I like those picks too, Kyler. Obviously, also because I got to talk about my team anyways. Washington State comes to James Madison this year. And last year we played Ball State and we played terrible, and I think we still won like 40-12.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
The great state of Idaho. That would be awesome. And I'm rocking that shirt tonight for Mr. Chris Hammond. Appreciate you, Chris. We will see you down in Nashville, mister. Maybe you'll be stomping in the rain if we get crappy weather down there. All right, Wade. Here comes Wade. Question number 4 in the top 6. Who's the preseason sleeper to make a surprise quarterfinal run? These questions, sometimes they just build perfectly. And we talked about who we're high on. We talked about quarterbacks on the top dogs, upsets, which could impact the playoffs. And now, who's the sleeper for the deep run? So you got your NDSU, you got your SDSU, you got your Montana State. Heck, you probably got Montana, Incarnate Word, all these others. But there's got to be one out there that's going to be a sleeper. who are you going to wake up the crowds to right now, Kyler, about who's making a quarterfinal run?
I would say a team I already talked about. And the only reason why they're not a sleeper, again, it's such a cop-out answer, but since they're not in the top 8, that's technically considered a sleeper, right? Because a preseason top 8 should make the quarters. Probably only half of them will. But Sac State, I think it's almost a damn lock to get into the quarterfinals. And again, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. And it's a cop-out answer because of the talent they're bringing in and the hype they're bringing in. But I would be shocked if we didn't see Sac State in the quarters. And again, the reason is because of what I said 10 minutes ago.
What if is there any chance they beat South Dakota State? And
100% yes.
I've already said this. I hope South Dakota State, as a Bison fan, I'll take the hat down right now that they gave me in tailgating. I hope South Dakota State beats the living daylight out of them for calling us JV. But is there any chance? Do they go to Brookings and maybe cause a stir at all? What do you think?
They definitely can, because this is by far going to be a more talented roster and an offense that is going to be extremely tough to prep for, especially week 1, week 0, if you will. That's going to be a tough offense to prep for. That go-go offense is not ideal. So it depends. Like, can SDSU put it together? That is a powerhouse that we've seen for years. But can they put it together right off the bat? If I'm South Dakota State, I want to play Sac State to murder them, but also I would be terrified to play them as my first game.
Just think of the scheduling when this was probably booked 3 years ago. And they're like, heck yeah, we'll beat the piss out of them. Then we'll get to go to Nevada, or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up. If you're South Dakota State, you're thinking this was probably the gimme game, and it can be marked as a Big Sky victory, and it is really going to change things up. Yeah, I mean, Sacramento State is hard not to pick as a surprise, but you see the schedule on YouTube screen right now. They still get the Grizz in there. They still have to beat South Dakota State. It's not like the schedule's a pushover. And Nevada, you kind of got to go get that one done. So if you're going to get to the quarterfinals, you have to set yourself up with home field advantage and other factors to be able to pull it off. Or maybe, Kyler, you're really genius here, because maybe they just get in the playoffs and then they start clicking on that talent. Maybe it gels at the end.
If they somehow beat SDSU, I don't know if it's 100%. I would say this is a good 50-50 game, and I'm excited to see it. And I'm a big Jackrabbit fan right now, just even looking at this schedule. Go Jackrabbits. But if Sacramento State beats South Dakota State, Nevada's not going to be easy. Nevada is continuing to prove, but that game's going to be a wash for them, so who cares? But they're going to go in there and try and beat the brakes off of them too, to be honest. But if they can get out of there 1-1 or 2-0 potentially, I mean, scroll down. I don't see another loss, because if they could beat South Dakota State and Nevada, or at least 1-1, they're not losing to the Grizz at Sac State. That was going to be 20,000 fans. It's going to be packed. They're not going to lose to Eastern or Portland State. Idaho, I mean, again, that's another big one at Sac State. They get most of the easy games besides Nevada and South Dakota State on the road. Other than that, everything's at home. So they have a chance to literally go 11-1, 10-2, or 12-0. I think that's about what Sac State is going to do.
That is, we'll see.
Yeah.
This is why preseason episodes are fun.
Yeah, I 100% think they have a chance to beat South Dakota State. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I also, South Dakota State's got a tough start. They could conceivably be 0-2, and it wouldn't be a surprise. I'm not sure that they will be. We'll find out. But, I'm going to go I'm not going to say East Tennessee State on this one, just because I'd just be repeating the same things I've said before.
Because you're not Kyler. Why would you just repeat the same thing? Why would you do
Yeah,
that?
Hey, the next question, guys, I don't know if you heard this yet. Sacramento State.
There you go.
Who from the
I heard they were the Harvard of the West. So
yeah.
My answer for this one is going to be Tennessee Tech. And why is it that? Because I think they've got a really, really easy schedule, and they've got a chance to run their FCS schedule. They play something called Cumberland, whatever that is. And then they play Kentucky late in the year, because you know how the SEC likes to play an FCS team the next to last week. But other than that, they play Chattanooga at home, and I'm not high on Chattanooga. I think Martin and SEMO are both down this year. They get both of them at home. Tennessee Tech could run the FCS table and get a top 8 seed, which gets them a bye, which means they got to beat somebody in the second round of playoffs, and they're a quarterfinal team. So I think from a schedule standpoint, they got a good coach. They got some talent in their recruits and their portal. I think we're looking at a good year for Tennessee Tech. I've got them starting out at 21, but win some games. That the strength of schedule is not going to be great, but you win that many games, you got a shot at a seed. So I think just the way the schedule sets up is why I have them as a team that could make a run.
I like the reasonings behind why you're giving them love. The reason why I just didn't pick them is I don't think they're going to – let's say it's the Southern Illinois. They are healthy, right? Because they were great when they were healthy last year, and then they kind of jumped off a cliff when they got the injury bug. Let's say it's Southern Illinois. They're putting pieces together. Well, they're not winning, the Missouri Valley. So if they get in the playoffs, they'll be a low seed, and then they're going to play a 10 Tech in the second round, something like that. Do you think 10 Tech can beat a team like that?
Well, let's say they get the 8 seed, would you feel comfortable with Tennessee Tech at home against a 9 seed Rhode Island? I think I might.
Against a Rhode Island, sure. Yeah.
Because it's all about how the seeds match up and all of that. I mean, I think even if they run the FCS schedule, they're probably still just the 8 seed with a ceiling of 7, just because of the strength of schedule.
That's
so
fair.
It all depends on who's the 9 or 10 there, who they would match up against. If it's Southern Illinois or that 3rd or 4th place Valley or Big Sky team, they're going to lose. Yeah. But you give them a CAA
That's actually
team.
very fair, because I keep forgetting that everyone else in the FCS isn't good. To where you're going to have an 11-1, a 10-2, 9 or 10 seed that is going in from a different conference. I always think of a lower seed. It's you're going to play the 4th seed of the Missouri Valley, the 5th seed of the Missouri Valley, and I'm like, good luck, 10 Tech. But yeah, you're actually right. If they get a 9 seed, like a Rhode Island, maybe
high.
Yeah, someone from the Patriot League, someone like that. Yeah, maybe there is a chance. So okay, maybe I like your pick even a little more.
We're going to crap on it. We took a picture next to the conference building in Frisco last year. Villanova. I'm going to give Villanova a little bit of love, because last year, first off, they were about 5-6 points away from the quarterfinals last year, going down to an Incarnate Word, 13-6, that loss. Okay, talk about last year, Matt, whatever. The thing with Villanova is it is going to be all based off the quarterback and the passing game, because they're going to be a good running team. They're returning their top 7 offensive linemen in terms of snaps. They were the number 10 ranked defense last year in terms of points allowed, with 18.2 points per game, and 8 of the 15 top tacklers are back. Their schedule should be favorable, so maybe they get that seed, and that allows them to, get that bye. And then they just got to win one game, right? Get the bye, win one game, win it at home, and welcome to the quarterfinals. I'm not saying Villanova winning a title, but they returned enough in this crap conference to get this 8 or 7 seed. We're all mad. And they get blown out in the quarterfinals to South Dakota State, like they always do when they get sent to Brookings or somewhere. But that would be my prediction.
Yeah, I don't see that one at all. Their quarterback's going to be Pat McQuaid. Remember him at Nichols? No, because he sucked. He won't be much better at Villanova.
Jamie's turning into Kyler.
Yep.
I like it.
I mean,
I was hoping for a stinks. I was hoping for the first.
No, it's so bad. It sucks. But they play at Monmouth. They play at New Hampshire. They do get Stony Brook at home. I don't know about them. I don't see Villanova. I wish I hadn't even put them hardly in my top 25. I've got them at 20. I don't like Villanova at all this year.
Well, my top 2 picks were Tennessee Tech and Sacramento State, so I had to dig deep for this one.
No, you've been better off going with Furman.
Yeah, I should have thrown them in. You know what? Next year, I'm picking them. I'm just going to go with Furman every year. Hey, you know who you get to cheer for every single year now? And Kyler's never been happier. The Ivy League. And Cody Werlinger comes in hot from FCS Gold and says, how will the addition of the Ivy League to the playoffs impact the playoffs? This is the first year ever. And could you see the Ivy League teams making a quarterfinal or semifinal run? Kyler's literally on YouTube labeled as Go Harvard Go. So I'm sorry, Jamie, to not give this to you right away, but this is his question. Mr. Neal, what do you got?
For one, I love the Ivy League. I really do. They're the only schools that I've ever heard of when I was a kid talking about FCS ball, right? The Ivy League's the only ones I even knew existed. I love the Ivy League, and I'm so excited for them to finally put a stamp on we care about these kids' education too much to let them participate in playoff football. No, it's because you were scared. Now you're not scared because NIL is crazy, and hopefully you guys can start to invest and really prove yourself as the top dogs in the FCS because they are the brand. They are the university brand of the FCS. Everyone knows almost every single school in the Ivy League. Every single one of them is world renowned. They could be the brand of FCS football. They're also got more championships in this conference than any other conference when it comes to football. Maybe NDSU won. So maybe that, just doesn't matter anymore because NDSU cheated. But again,
30 here comes.
What's going to cause chaos is, guess what? This gets one of your at-larges away. So when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking of when there's always a 5th seed from the Missouri Valley, when there's always a 5th seed from the Big Sky. Now that bubble is going to be a little bit harder to get. And now you can't be an NAU. You cannot lose to every single 500 team and get blown out and still make the playoffs because the Ivy League's taken one. So I'm really excited. Now, what was the second half of this question? Do we think they're going to perform? Something like that?
Yeah, quarterfinal, semifinal possibility?
Probably not. Maybe if there were still regionality, then yeah, maybe an Ivy League school can make it to the corners. But since they're seeding everyone in the top 16, it's going to be a little bit harder. But I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see momentum moving forward because these teams can out-recruit you. That's just a reality. If you are having an opportunity to go to NDSU or an opportunity to go to Princeton, just going to be honest, why would you go to NDSU? Okay. If you had an opportunity to go to Harvard over anyone, go Harvard, go. Just going to be honest. Why would you want to go? Especially, again, if you think that they're going to start investing in their facilities, investing in their football team, investing in athletes, these guys could be SEC caliber in terms of investments. Are they gonna? No, because people don't care about that. They care about math, right, and AI. But again, I'm so excited to see the Ivy Leagues move forward. This is something I think everyone's wanted for a long time because why wouldn't you want to see Harvard versus North Dakota State in the second round of the FCS playoffs? That is such a cool game. Why wouldn't you want to see a Princeton versus anyone else? Like, I'm so excited. Kagi, let's see Dartmouth, right? Let's have some fun with the mascots. The sad thing is we all know the mascots.
Yep.
Right. So, again, I'm rooting for it. I hope Yale, I hope Harvard, I hope Princeton, I hope Dartmouth, I hope they all come to play because, man, it would be so much fun to watch them. And it wasn't that long ago where you would see people from the Ivy League getting drafted over other conferences, and you go, why? All they're playing is NEC and Patriot League teams. Why? Because they can get athletes, because they can out-recruit people if they set their minds right. So is it going to be this year? Probably not. I think they're going to have to learn some things and adapt. But if they start investing into their programs and their players and NIL, man, this conference can make the rest of the FCS, like I said last week, turn into their ping pong room. So I am super excited to see what they can do and just put their money where their mouth is. That's the reality of this one. That should be their conference slogan. We're putting our money where our mouths are. And I hope they do it.
Beautiful. All I'm going to say is no chance of the semifinals this year. An absolute ceiling is the second round. So, Jamie Williams, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, don't gloss over what it does for the playoffs is it takes away one bubble spot. And that's awesome because we don't need another argument over 3, 7, and 5 teams.
No.
We really don't. I'm hoping this moves the bubble to 8 wins. And if it's a 7-win team, it's like 7-4 in the FCS because you lost to your FBS team and you still have that's the way you have 7 wins. But this 7-5 against the FCS, try to flip a coin stuff, Northern Arizona, Southeast Louisiana, Southern Utah, pick one kind of thing last year. I'd rather see an 8-win team. So taking away one at large is a benefit in and of itself before we even talk about how exciting it is that the Ivy's finally participating. So that's the biggest impact to me is just the reduction of the bubble because we need to reduce the bubble. The last thing I want to see is people to then start lobbying for 32 teams. And I know it's freaking going to happen and come, and it's going to be wrong and stupid and dumb, but money will talk. And, but yeah, I mean, 24, I guess has to be fine, but take away one more bubble team like that. I love it.
All about
Pretty
it.
soon we're going to be the FBS and you're going to have jokes of schools that no one's heard of from the MAC get to play in the postseason. That's ridiculous.
I just made this just for fun.
I love it.
So if you don't
Phenomenal.
watch on YouTube, I just did this in Canva while Jamie talked, but you should watch on YouTube and you would enjoy this meme. I will tweet it out midway through the week if you refuse to turn on our show.
I love it.
So
That's phenomenal.
there you go. What else is phenomenal is the final question of the top 6, and it comes from Chase. Chase, good to see you. Thanks again for supporting my man. Will there be the same 3-4 teams at the top? Oh, the fun conversation. We'll throw South Dakota as for now, seems to be the rotational 4th team, but NDSU, SDSU, a Montana team. Let's call it that. And everyone's feeling Montana State. Jamie, is it all high hopes? We say it every year. We say this. Just feels like there's more parity. That's going to be 3 questions this year we get from fans. Just feels like there's a chance. But is it all for nothing?
I mean, sure, there is more parity from 5 on down. Although I do think Incarnate Word can slip in there. Chase, I wish I could tell you it was going to be Central Arkansas, but unfortunately not. But hope they have a nice year. I always like that school. Once Nathan Brown moves on, maybe you'll be better. But yeah, I mean, Incarnate Word is about the only team that can really wedge themselves in there. We'll see if anybody else can jump. Somebody else will jump in and maybe be the 4 or 5 seed just because of how the schedule plays out for somebody. But let's not take an illusion that the gap is closed that much. We'll see. I know you got teams replacing quarterbacks out of 3 of those 4 teams. You got a new coach in South Dakota. You got some turnover on defense. It'd be nice if they still had somebody like Mike Eastgrace. That'd be great. Then I'd feel better. But I do have South Dakota still at number 3 because they've got the stability at quarterback and they've got Charles Pierre. It's going to take a lot for somebody to break into that. It'd be cool if somebody would. It'd be fine with me if the Montanas and Dakotas all lost 3 or 4 games. Just make it more fun. It ain't going to happen, though.
The question is you just look at the biggest dog of them all and you just go, is NDSU going to lose 2 games to travel in the semis, or are they going to lose 3 and be in the quarters? They'll go to Brookings. They'll go to UND this year. They'll host South Dakota. I think they get their revenge on South Dakota pretty harshly in the Dome, to be honest with you, from last year's game. Could be a good matchup. I don't know. But do you have to go through Fargo? Do you have to go to Montana State? Do you have to go through Brookings? Home field advantage will dictate if this ever changes. We've seen how powerful it is in the FCS playoffs. It is so, so strong. And the same cast of characters. It is Tom Brady-esque, where Tom Brady was like, I was so focused on making sure the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills could not stop me from winning my division and being a top 2 seed in the AFC and getting home field advantage instead of Foxborough. And if that doesn't change, I don't see this changing. So we're going to need a lot of chaos in the regular season to force teams to have to not travel to some of these locations. Any hope, Kyler? Any hope?
Well, I love the question, and I think Chase is fantastic. But let's dissect the question for what it is. Is it going to ever be anyone other than the Montanas and Dakotas, right? That's pretty much what it was. I think there's a lot of recency bias outside of NDSU. Take NDSU out. They're on a league of their own,
I would
right?
agree. I would totally agree with this take.
One of the Dakotas is North Dakota. They stink. They're irrelevant, right? The other one was irrelevant and a joke 2 years ago. Okay, that's a reality. The 2 Montana schools were irrelevant 5 years ago, if you look at it. They made the quarters 1 time in almost all of the 2010 decades. Each one of them, because you can't count 2011. That's cheater. So each one of them only made the quarters 1 time in a full 10-year period, maybe twice with Montana State. I think it was 2012 and then 2019, right? So we have a lot of this recency bias. And then South Dakota State, love them, right? The hat. I think it's a pretty cool hat. Love the people there. I think they're the best fans. But it wasn't more than 6 years ago when they were the Sam Houston State and kind of the joke of the FCS, where it's like, I just want to beat my big brother, but you get murdered in them playoffs every single time you play a good team. That was a reality. Now, they always said, it's only because we're playing NDSU. No, you got blown out by everyone. You got blown out by JMU. You got blown out by Eastern. You got blown out by the big teams you played up until about 2018, right? Somewhere around there. Then they finally started, making their strides. So it's a lot of recency bias. Now, that being said, and my venting's done, NIL has changed the game, okay? These are the NFL teams in their states. These are the crazy fan bases. These fan bases can pay more money. They have an amazing atmosphere. It's not going to change anytime soon. So I get my whole venting was for nothing, because NIL is the reason why it is the Montanas and the Dakotas right now. If you go before to 2020, there was more parity outside of NDSU. It was NDSU versus everyone else, but then you could have teams flow in there. It's going to be hard to out-invest a Montana or Montana State unless you're SAC. But then those programs are going to move up fast. So until those Dakotas and Montanas, and I don't think South Dakota's a part of the Dakotas. I just don't think they are. They've had one good season known to man. Other than that, no one even knew that there was a team down there. I'm going to be honest with you. No one knew that it was the Coyotes. They all probably called them the Coyotes. That's a reality. So until NDSU, SDSU, and the Montanas get the invite to the Mountain West, those are probably going to be the top 4 teams, top 6 teams we see every single year. And maybe you can sprinkle in a SAC, or maybe you can sprinkle in an Incarnate Word from time to time. But we're going to continue to have those 4 monsters, those 4 beasts at the top of the preseason polls, and typically in the quarters and the semifinals and the championship games moving forward.
Well, that is something that, Kyler, that you could chew on. It's something you could bet on. It means you could throw some tacos together if you were going to bet on something like that.
Taco King, coming to you from bright and sunny Fargo, North Dakota. It's time for a taco bet, and time for you losers to pay up.
We're on to a quarterback, and Taco King Brian Thompson, of course, his squad, the North Dakota State University Bison, who everybody hates. He says he wants to know, Peyton from NDSU finds his groove and is a top 5 quarterback in the FCS. Brian Thompson wants to know by season's end. Let's just go with, I mean, it's pretty easy to see who's a top 5 quarterback in the FCS. Passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, quarterback rating. We can make this distinction when the time comes. What do you think there, Jamie? Do you think he's going to be a top 5 guy by the end of all this?
That's exactly what I said. What constitutes a top 5 quarterback? Is he going to be top 5 in passing yards? Nope. Is he going to be top 5 in passing touchdowns? Nope. Is he be top 5 in rating? Maybe. But I don't love Cole Payton, man. I just don't love Cole Payton. I want to know, is Cole Payton even going to be in after game 5 for North Dakota State, or is it going to be Hayes? I just know. So if it's 1 to 4 is under and 6 and to infinity is over, I'm going to hammer the over. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, but he doesn't have to be. He just has to not turn the ball over. That's it. And the luxury he has is if he's in trouble, 1, he can run, and 2, he can just be like, screw it, Bryce Lance is out there somewhere. He's probably going to catch it. So is he going to be a top 5 quarterback? No. Does it matter? Also no.
Yeah, I think people don't know how good the Bison defense might be this year. But on Peyton himself, no. I don't think he'll be a top 5 quarterback by the end of it. 1 year, I think he will be a very talented runner. And if Bryce Lance has, let's say, 2 touchdown catches after 5 games, the Nathan Hayes calls are going to be wild. You better, it's going to be crazy. Kyler, what do you think?
Yeah, so Jamie kind of picked this up and went, how do you define a top 5 quarterback? So did you, Matt. If it's yards, touchdowns, efficiency, what are we looking at? Accuracy? There's too many metrics that really just take away other games and the type of offense that and schemes that some teams run. Now, I'm going to be on the opposite of you guys, and I go, listen, he doesn't have to be a top 5 in the stats to be a top 5 quarterback, because like I said with Mark Gronowski a few years ago, the reason why everyone thinking he is the greatest quarterback of all time was because of the weapons he had around him. He lost the weapons. Gronowski was not a top 5 quarterback last year. That's just a reality. He took a massive hit backwards, right? That's just true. When you get rid of your tight ends, some of your O-line and your top wide receivers, maybe you're not as good as everyone else thinks, okay? Well, like Matt just said, this year he has all the weapons, right? So as long as he plays all season, he could probably dink and dive, get his little first down runs. He won't be top 5 in the stats. I don't think so. But can he be top 5 in efficiency, which is what Brian typically only cares about, the Taco King himself. He goes, he's top 5 in efficiency. He's top 5. So, he could easily be top 5 in efficiency for sure. So I'm going to take the bet against you guys and go, I think at the end of the season, as long as he's starting, he'll probably be in the top 5 of efficiency.
I think NDSU for sure is hoping that you have a Tommy Mellott 75% season, where really surprising with the passing and much improved, and can run like crazy and make some things happen. But we'll see. It's going to be fun to watch these quarterbacks play out. And the season's right around the corner. It's coming up quick.
Just because your question is answered quickly doesn't mean we don't care. It's time for this week's Quick Hit Questions.
By the way, I put what's your favorite dinosaur on there in that little clip on YouTube. People must not watch because no one has ever asked us who our favorite dinosaur is in the Quick Hit Questions, which is a good way to introduce them, because with Quick Hit Questions, people can ask us literally anything, and we are down to answer it. So that being said, let's do it. Will the Rev get strikes on YouTube again this year? The Rev, Dustin Helton. I don't know, Rev, but I'm telling you this. I've found some great websites where you can pay just a small amount of money and you don't have to worry about those copyrights anymore. So hit me up, figure it out, and then we'll be able to have a little bit more coin for you to give me some Chili's margaritas in Nashville this year. There's a Chili's in Nashville. I'll find it. All right, Samuel Jordan wants to know, Jamie, which Missouri Valley Football Conference team best built to threaten South Dakota State, NDSU, and South Dakota? Or is the top tier way too loaded to even entertain that question? What do you think?
I think it's the top three and then everybody else. I think Southern Illinois should be improved. Illinois State should be pretty good, but I don't think they're going to threaten the three Dakota schools. North Dakota might also be good, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get above that tier. Jeremiah Rash, though, one of the best, says, which teams are way overrated in the preseason top 25, and is there anybody undervalued? Who's overrated? We've talked about a little bit undervalued. Give me the overrated, Kyler Neal.
Yeah, here's the deal. We're just going to go over a list. We're going to go Villanova, Lehigh, Western Carolina, Northern Arizona, Tennessee Tech, Monmouth, SFA, Stony Brook, and Richmond. All of them.
Oh, jeepers, just a slaughter. Let's just do a top 15.
Anyone after the top 10 is overrated.
Holy cow. David Tate wants to know, what is Southern Illinois' floor versus their ceiling? Go Dogs. David and Jeremiah, both big Dog fans. Here's the thing. I don't know if the depth of Southern Illinois is going to get them up past that top tier. I'm bouncing off of Kyler here, though. But when I look at that Illinois State, when I look at that North Dakota, when I look at that Southern Illinois, I'm like, what gets you to that 7th, 8th win, which lets you compete above it? I don't know. I think that their ceiling is the last Missouri Valley Football Conference in, and hopefully a first-round upset. And their floor, I don't know, 5-6 losses, something like that. So I think they're still a middle-tier team. I don't think they're going to fall out, but I just don't think they're going to be enough to get into the playoffs. David, and for Jeremiah, since you guys are incredible humans, I hope I'm wrong. Jamie, you cannot be wrong on this question, because Christopher Hill says, what are the chances SUU takes the next step and wins a playoff game this year? Can't be, man. What do you got?
First off, go Thunderbirds. I think the next step is not necessarily winning a playoff game. The next step would be making the playoffs for them. And we'll see. I think they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be talked about on the bubble again. They've got to beat Idaho State to start the year, which is why they didn't make the playoffs last year. Went up there and just played awful. But after that, they've got San Diego, who they better beat. And then they play Northern Arizona at home, and they go to UC Davis. Got to win one of those, and then we'll see what happens in conference. The thing about the UAC is there was zero turnover in coaching. So you know what you're getting from a style and matchup standpoint from that entire conference. What Southern Utah has going for them is a solid defensive line. And they probably have the second best quarterback in the conference, Bronson Barron, who played at Weber State, returning, had an injury last year. They had some very shaky quarterback play last year. Had 3 or 4 guys play just because of injuries and whatnot. So if Bronson can stay healthy, we'll see. Obviously, you lose Target Lamson, you lose some offensive line, so they got to get performance from the offensive line. They got to get a little bit of running game. Braden Whistler's a solid back. I don't know if he's an every down back, so they're going to have a committee there. So can they make the playoffs? It's going to be close. I hope so. Obviously, I hope so. I think somewhere between 6 and 8 wins is where they land. But we'll see. They've got to go 3-1 to start the year.
And this is their only opportunity and only year they're going to be even have a shot to make it in the next 20.
It's
now
or never.
Not big time in competition starting next year. Going back to the Big Sky.
Absolutely.
Conference they won in 2018, by the way.
Speaking of winning,
because they didn't play Eastern.
Probably anybody.
pulled the North.
And they lost to Weeper in the first round of the playoffs.
Speaking of winning the Big Sky, can we talk about the Grizzlies' cupcake schedule with 8 home games, says Jay? All they have to do is win one game, which is the Cats, be highly ranked or slightly exaggerated. There ought to be a law, he says. He puts that at the end. There ought to be a law. The Grizz will host North Dakota on September 13th. I guess if that does anything for you. Besides that, CWU, Indiana State, Idaho, Cal Poly, Sacred Heart. They go to Sacramento State, Weber State, Portland State, Eastern Washington, and they host the Cats at the end. Break that down, Kyler, because, I don't really fear that schedule.
No, and they shouldn't if you're Montana, and it shouldn't be against the law. If you can afford to pay people to come visit you because you got, fans that can fill up 26,000, 25,000, do it. I mean, again, the SEC does it. The Big Ten does it. That's that type of caliber team in this level. So I'm not annoyed by them getting 8. They're using their benefit. Do it. Might as well if you can. Their out-of-conference schedule is very easy. And why would you book a tough one if you don't need to? Stack up wins. Sac State's going to be tough. Montana State's going to be tough. Idaho probably is going to be tough. And other than that, they're probably going to come out there with at least a minimum of only 3 losses. And it is what it is. Praise their AD. If you're a Montana fan, be pumped. You got to go to more games. And if you're an opposing team that thinks it's unfair, well, try and invest more into your football program. Try and donate more so then you can get more home games. Show up. I mean, that's the reality of it. They're using their advantage to their benefit, and I kind of can respect it.
Very cool. Should the CAA, NEC, and the SoCon boost their strength of schedule by pulling top MEAC teams? This is from the Rev. It just says boost their strength by pulling top MEAC teams. So, in fact, I don't know if they're pulling teams in realignment, or I don't know if they're booking teams for. Let's go with playing teams out of conference. I want that more because it's more realistic. What do you think, Jamie? Does that boost anything?
No, I want to take a completely different pass at this one. I'd actually love to see it split. I want the America East to start football and have like Bryant, Maine, Albany, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and somebody else. Then leave the CAA with whatever's left because that's all they deserve to have. So then it's an actual, still like a 9-10 team conference. Therefore, you create another conference, which guess what? You reduce the bubble again, and you don't have a 46-team conference. So I'd rather see them split rather than add anything else. And give me the American East with those teams up in the Northeast there, even if they steal Stony Brook to make their 6th or 7th member. Give me another conference. Give me one less bubble team. Let's go.
All right. Cody Werlinger coming around the bend. NDSU is going to be very good, but are people glossing over their losses too much because of the turnover at Montana State, SDSU, and USD? They lost Hedberg, Landry, and Gosser from the coaching staff. A couple of huge portal losses in the spring. Cam's level of play last season was arguably the best NDSU's ever seen. They have to replace all of that. All these points are taken. They're all good. And I think it has to do a little bit with Montana State, SDSU, and USD with these portal losses. I think it's the fact that they're hosting USD. But that wide receiver core, arguably going to be best in the FCS. Cole Payton, not going to be a bad quarterback, arguably. Great running backs coming back. 2 good young offensive linemen. They're probably going to be fine on the O-line. And the entire secondary minus 1 player returns. Linebackers, get ready for Donovan Woolley. That's going to be a name that everybody's going to love to know. And the defensive line is actually going to be pretty stout. So it should be characteristically a good NDSU football team. I do think maybe they're being a little over-touted, but what are you going to do when literally all that turnover happened, and who else are you going to bet on at this point? So Wade Berriger says the Ivy League will participate in 2025. Does that mean 8 wins might be the requirement for at-larges with them taking an additional auto bid? Not going to spend too much time on this one. Do you guys think it's an 8-win or 7-wins threshold? What do you think, Kyler?
I still think there's going to be a 7-win threshold, depending on what conference you're in. That's what I'll say.
Okay. And last one here, guys. Eric Klecki. Had him on the pod last year. So if you're subscribed to FCS Gold, you guys might literally end up on a podcast with us, which is super exciting. Eric says, to end it, Jamie, in our quick hit questions, is Montana State being overvalued and ranked too high after losing so many key players this offseason? My hot take is yes, but I want to hear Your opinion?
I'm going to say no. A little bit of a reputation pick that they are there, so maybe. But I mean, you've still got a good offensive line. You still got running backs. You still got a defense. You still have Brett Vegan. Everybody's had turnover. The portal is what the portal is. So them at number 2, that's where I've got them. I think that's fine. South Dakota State will answer that question early in the season.
Yes, they will. So, and I bet Ron will let us have it. Ron just heard me say that, and now I'm doomed for the rest of the season.
There's 10 comments already on YouTube.
100%. Ron, you are the greatest follower of this podcast in the history in 9 seasons. And gentlemen, as we know at the end of Quick Hit Questions, it does end our episode. Just a reminder, you can join FCS Gold if you want to be part of the Playoff Bracket Challenge and a chance to win a $50, maybe even more gift card. We handed out 2 of those suckers last year. Besides that, gentlemen, a little bit of housekeeping here. We do not plan to have an episode until after those week 0 games, just due to real life, and we might throw a live episode or a fun thing together next week, but no official formatted thing, and unsure if we will post anything at all. So enjoy this episode of Preseason, the preview, and we hope you enjoy those week 0 games. But gentlemen, since we're going to be off 2 weeks, Jamie, final parting words. Kyler, what do you guys got?
Yeah,
What?
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what is your favorite dinosaur, Matt?
Oh, I'm super boring. How could you not grow up in the 90s kid?
The greatest movie of all time?
Yeah,
you can say it.
Yeah, you saw that T-Rex come through the wires. You heard that roar, and you're just like, I love this. This is the greatest thing ever. It's a T-Rex. Number 1.
There we go.
No doubt.
Velociraptor, baby.
Smart. Kyler, okay, let's end it on this. What do you got?
Yeah, 100%. It's the greatest movie of all time, the greatest scene of all time,
Yes,
and it
is.
be a T-Rex fan for all time.
There
That's
we go.
reality.
Well,
I was a
That's
teenager when that came out. Y'all were like young.
oh,
Y'all
we
weren't
were
even
young.
in kindergarten, were you?
Yeah, we were like 5.
Awesome.
Something like that. Hey, and here you go. You ready? Just like how the dinosaurs died. Big asteroid. Boom. Otherwise, what's the point?
I know it was either that or heroin, and I decided it might not be the best on that. So